today. It
Yes.
is preparing. We're doing it. I'm so excited.
Amazing.
Cool. It should come up any second. It looks like it's live on Facebook. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're live officially. So yay, we're doing it.
We're doing it.
Woohoo. All right. So I'm so excited today for everybody watching. It is another day of Spotlight on the Shadow Seekers. And today I have the incredible Angela who's coming on here today, my witchy woman in her black. Yes. And we're going to talk about that. But she's coming on here today to talk about her experience in both Create Your Light Academy and Radiate Your Light Academy, which is the program that comes after Create Your Light. That's for alumni only. So we should just get right into it and explain to people why I'm so surprised that you're wearing all black, because I feel like when we met, you were like the epitome of love and light. You were like so angelic with your energy. Everything was so light and bubblegum, and like, look at you, babe. Oh my God.
It's been definitely such a transformative experience on so many levels. One of them being honing into the dark feminine, which, I don't think a lot of what society understands is before we really started to evolve into this type of lifestyle, there was a woman who, it was a matriarchal society, and it was all about woman and sharing the love and the light and the connection with the moon and, the light goddess, the dark goddess, the triple moon goddess, and this fear around dark and light. So this was sort of something I think I was sort of torn with when I started, because again, I felt so love and light, and what I needed to realize and to find that balance is to find that darkness in me, and through shadow work, that was able to let me really start to reflect and to grasp what this really means to me and my purpose and who I am in this lifetime. And it's really interesting. And sorry, my sinuses, for anyone who knows me, you always see me with a tissue.
Everybody's allergies are so bad right now. So I think everywhere, we all get it.
And back to, just repressing. So I used to wear black a lot of time in my teenage years. This was like one of my colors as I was going through a really heavy phase in my life. I really resonated with black, and I used to wear black a lot. But I think through this, being told, why are you wearing dark colors? Because again, society doesn't always fears the dark, right? I was getting told, don't wear black, don't wear black. So, over so many years of hearing this, that's what I started doing, not wearing black. And I started to look at black as almost like the negative part of me.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't through, really digging deep into my shadow and getting to root causes of things. Wait a minute, no, black is not such a shameful color or color to fear. It's actually powerful. It's symbolic in so many ways and transformative. And, my roots always told me in my root, like it was like, wear black, wear black, wear black. And I suppressed that. And I'm finally just starting to take power of that again. And it feels, I don't know, great to me,
It's like just feeling comfortable in your body, like whatever you know that you need, instead of doing what other people make you feel like you're supposed to need. I think duality is such an interesting concept to me, because I feel like ever since we're young, especially women, more so than men, we're taught to behave and think in certain ways, but the ideas are usually oppositional. Whereas either be, like a virginal, angelic, whites, pinks, like really to show off in that way, or be the vixen, be sexy, be dark, mysterious, but you can't be both, or at least it feels like you can't be both. And I feel like you're a perfect example of the fact that you can actually, in fact, be all the things.
Exactly. And I feel it's just a lot of unlearning to relearn what society has instilled into us, the societal structure that has been created, again, based on white, powerful men, and the demonization of women, the demonization of minority groups, the demonization of anything that they basically want to be able to instill that power, that fear and control. is something that I'm unlearning to relearn, and I'm getting back to the roots of what a true woman is.
Yeah.
And, it's wonderful to actually see it in a different light than what I grew up knowing it was, right?
It's so cool. What role did shadow work play in this awakening for you?
For me, oh boy, where do I begin,
No, that's
Danielle?
a good question.
So I actually found you through TikTok. This was maybe 6 months. So I had about 6 months before I actually, from my spiritual awakening. Now, this happened when my grandmother passed away. I went through a little spiritual awakening. I started to really try to make sense and dig deeper into, life and death, and started really looking into, I think there's a YouTube documentary called The Science of the Soul. It talked, because again, I needed to relate it to science. That was my way of being able to step into the spiritual piece, is that I needed it to make sense in my brain, the logical sense. So I took 6 months. I met with a healer when I went through my spiritual awakening, took 6 months just to really decompress, digest everything. I didn't feel like I was ready at that particular moment. However, everything just found its place, because I waited those 6 months as I was, just doing my thing. You mysteriously just popped up on my TikTok one day. Yeah, basically. And just totally resonated with everything you had to say about shadow work, and just, the subconscious and the unconscious part of the brain, and how it just really works. And, I think part of me really resonated with this as well, is just my background with child development and learning about the brain and how it works, right? So a big piece, what I was already starting to do unknowingly, just through, because I went back to school, and I'm in the process of getting my master's of teaching. I'm actually at the final finishing line. I'm so
You're
close.
so close.
But it was really, this whole process of me doing things that I never thought I could do. I was basically told I could never be university material when I was younger. Up until this point, I started already going, I guess, starting to get to that alignment of finding myself and figuring it out. And it was through getting into the masters of teaching, them even taking on a spiritual approach, which I don't even know how much they even realize what they're doing. But, the mindfulness, again, I think this is something about, we could talk about the mainstream media too, and how it's coming along. But, the mindfulness, they teach a lot about indigenous. So just about the 7 principles of spirituality, that the knowings, the teachings that they have, just self-care, words of affirmations, all these little things were starting just to synchronize and add up. And then when I found you, it was like, boom, the icing on the cake. And I transformed in those, it was in July. For 2 months, we had your course. The amount of transformation I made from someone who used to be so quiet, so self-conscious, and being just my authentic self, really helped me break out of that cycle, and to get into my comfort zone, and, to really start using my voice, and to be able to really self-love, and just have this confidence that I never knew I really had. So it's basically transformed me into this person that I'm so happy and fortunate that I'm becoming, so a lot of growth.
It's amazing. You're amazing, because I remember that first phone call that we had when it was like, is Create Your Light Academy right for me? And you were really timid on the phone, and it was very much like, I'm not sure, I don't know, like, I think I could. And look at you now, like, you just show up. Like, if anybody wants to follow her on social media, like, she just shows up unapologetically every single day, and your voice is loud and it's strong. And I think really integrating your shadows and bringing that dark stuff up to the surface and letting it be part of you has made this huge shift in how you show up, your energy, how people see you, and your comfort level in your own body. You can see the difference.
Right, definitely, 100%. And I think if I can just, I couldn't recommend it. Like, I don't even have the words to express how much I recommend this program for anyone who really wants to start to heal and become the best version of themselves. Like, this program was it for me. And this is coming from someone who struggled with mental health for many, many years. I started probably at the age of 14, really struggling. I was I was hospitalized for suicide. I just went through a really, really dark period. And to the point, like I was really questioning myself, my purpose, who am I in this world? Why am I here? Like it really was a lot going on. And then a lot of deaths of close people around me, and people around my age started happening, and it increased that really wanting to know, and like why in life for me was just so difficult. I had a really hard time with my upbringing, and it was not like I know my parents did the best they could with the tools they had and everything, but that authoritarian parenting style that was put on me at such a young age, and just this tough love. And, I just never felt good enough. I never felt like I could be anything. I felt very small and minimal, really. And it was really through going through all these hardships and struggles. The other piece was I was also misdiagnosed and labeled with something a lot more severe than what I right now it's generalized anxiety. To be honest, I don't know anyone that doesn't have some form of mental health. Like this is really how embedded it is in our society. Whether it's just not being able to sleep well, or it's whether you're just constantly thinking things over and over again. Like these are things, little subtle signs that, people may not necessarily clue in and look at it as being a mental health related, and that, they should start taking care of themselves better, or learning self-love. Like they're just not aware of this. And, it's just basically through my own, again, unlearning to relearn. I was able to just get myself into this place that I just so happy to be able to get here, because, that sad little girl that didn't think she could account to anything, how much I've been able to like grow, and still growing. Like this is a long journey, and anybody who's gone through spirituality know it's not like you just transform in a matter of, yeah, exactly. Right. Quickly like that, like snap of a finger. But yeah, it's, through the shadow work, the transformation that's been going. And then your Radiate Your Light Academy. Can I speak about that?
Oh, of course. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. No, that was just like the next step, the next icing on the cake. So, because I was able to unravel so many later layers of rooted trauma that as a result created behaviors in me, and the cycles that I started to have, with my husband, with my children, what have you. Through doing your Radiate Your Light Academy, I was able to start, grasping the business whole concept, because again, with my sole purpose, I knew eventually I'm going to be somewhat of an entrepreneur, and I'm going to get myself out there. So, learning about how to go about that. And really, that was also another piece of growth that I found, because you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone is what you're essentially doing. And things I never thought I would do, even in the Create Your Light Academy, I was now doing in Radiate Your Light Academy. And, the little mantras we did and everything we did in there, like I full blown started getting my spiritual gifts that I repressed, like never knew I had these spiritual gifts, and boom, like just like that, they're there. And it's like, and then, thinking back of, oh my gosh, now I remember when I was a child, I did certain things, but I repressed it because that's what society do.
Yeah, that literally happens constantly. Like just this morning, it's funny that you're bringing this up now. Just this morning, someone who's in my current round of Create Your Light Academy sent me a message and said, so after doing 8 weeks of shadow work, all of a sudden I'm a psychic medium and I can just like read people like it's nothing. And what the fuck, Danielle? Like, where did that even come from? And as she leans into more, she's going to remember her childhood. She's going to remember those moments where it's like, oh, I've been hearing these voices the whole time, or I knew they were there the whole time, or someone told me that what I was seeing was an imaginary friend, or they made me feel like I couldn't. It's always there. But our shadow is kind of like throwing like blankets and tarps and like stuffing it down somewhere so that you don't remember, and so that it's hard to access. And once you pull that stuff off and it's not there anymore, It's so simple. Like it's just easy. And Create Your Light, it's 2 months of shadow work, which sounds like a long time, but it goes by in a flash. It's very fast. But the meditations that we have are things that you can do over and over and over again. So there's never an end to it, because any healing is a journey that's just going to happen throughout your life. But with Radiate Your Light, because it is so business focused, we take it and we kind of hone it in and really dial it in and make it specific to the work that you're to do when you show up in the world, which is something that gets addressed at the end of Create Your Light. We talk about soul's purpose and how to find it. And so many of us do have a soul's purpose that's related to being helpers, being people who are kind of anchoring in the light on this planet, or anything along those lines. And
Right.
when that happens, it's like, well, great. Now that I know that, what do I do? And that's the point of Radiate. It's like, now that you know that, what do you do? Let's figure it out. And people
Yeah.
come in at all different points. Like some people come in and it's like, yeah, I already have a business. I know what I want to do. I just need to make it grow. And other people come in and go, I have no idea. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I'm here to figure it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's wild to see the difference between everybody and how everyone kind of ends up in a similar place of feeling like they got it.
And it's great because I was able to witness this firsthand with the lovely, amazing group of women I got to
So cool.
and Radiate Your Light Academy with. And, you know, even one of the things that I want to mention in Create Your Light as well as Radiate Your Light is the wonderful connections and friendships you make. And I remember one thing you had said that stood out to me when we took the Create Your Light Academy was, you know, how you like to make this group based. And for whatever reason, what you've noticed is everybody who ends up being in that group at that specific time, how a lot of them end up being connected, whether it's through past lives or what have you. And, you know, even for myself, I personally experienced this with one of the other girls in the group.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. So it was just amazing because even though the perspective was a little off, because obviously when I'm seeing something and someone else is envisioning something, we're always going to have a little bit of a different perspective because that's just the way our experiences are shaped and how we see things. But it was just amazing, the resemblance. And, you know, because you build such great bonds, like I remember me and this particular one of my friends in there now that I could say is a friend, we actually would meet up even after Create Your Light and like do our own little shadow work to pick up on even more of that past life together. So it's just amazing the friendships work and the connections we're making.
I know, it's so cool. And it happens like every single round. Like you've had a past life with somebody in that group, if not more than one person, or there's someone that you were meant to meet in this life that you're going to do something with. It happens constantly. Like just yesterday, a podcast episode released from 2 women who were in Create Your Light at different rounds. One person from the second round and one person who did it only a year ago. And they connected in the alumni group. And I think they do have that connection. And it happens. And it's amazing when it does, because it's like your soul just feels like, oh, I know her. Like it feels like home.
It does. It really does.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's an amazing feeling. I know you brought this up before, and I do want to address it because it is important. I feel like with mental health issues and the things that we all experience, it's so normalized, but it's not normal. In fact, I used to be a professor at Penn State, something not everybody knows about me, but you do. And when I taught at Penn State, I taught 2 courses, child development and abnormal psychology. And in abnormal psych, I taught people about how like all these different disorders that we have nowadays have morphed and changed and even been more, it's almost like they're grander than they used to be. And it's not because they didn't exist before. It's just like the pressure and the stress that we're under is that much greater nowadays versus way back when. Yeah. And in child development, I talked about how the brain develops, because that's a huge piece of the puzzle, and how everything that we go through and all of our experiences shape what it is that our life looks like from the time that we are born. And something that happens now that didn't used to happen in the days of like cavemen, when Homo sapiens first started showing up, is that we are constantly in fight or flight. It's like our normal state is generalized anxiety disorder. And it's kind of rare for people to be in a resting state, even though that's the way that we're supposed to be. And it is the ultimate goal of shadow work, to get us into that resting state all the time. at resting, our brains should be slow. Like we should not be having racing thoughts. We shouldn't be having foggy thoughts where it's like you can't access what's going on in your head. Your heart rate should be nice and slow. Your breath should be full, and it should be happening in your diaphragm, not in your chest, which is the wrong way to breathe. Your shoulders should be relaxed, and it should feel like you could just fall asleep all the time versus what we feel, which is like, I need to go, I need to hustle, I need to get out there, I need to just move. And that feeling is anxiety. It's adrenaline and cortisol running rampant throughout our bodies.
Right.
And I know that you did have that misdiagnosis and things have shifted for you since then. So maybe you could speak a little bit to how this has changed for you. And I know it's something you're still working on and always going to be working to get it more, but what's it been like for you?
So for me, it's been wonderful. I'm actually almost being able, so it's one thing to know things, but then it's another thing when you actually get to this consciously aware state where you take what you know, but like you almost remove the emotion from it in a way. And you know, this is what I think society really struggles with, and this is why mental health is so prominent, is the fact that, you know, things that are toxic in society that happen to us, like someone may, you know, have a bad day and they come in and they're all grumpy and they're mean, let's say with you, or they say something nasty to you, which everybody experiences these little comments here and there through family, through friends, whatever you want to say, you know, jokes that are they have that negative undertone, like you sort of know there's some truth to those jokes.
Like a bite, like somebody's just kind of giving you like a little bite.
Exactly. So we're so used to this that we always think, and now this is me as an empath coming in, because I almost feel like I was a toxic empath, because what I was doing was I was taking that compassion and that empathy I had for others by saying, it's okay, they're tired today. It's okay. You know, giving them that second benefit of the doubt. And instead of saying to myself, wait a minute, you know, not only are they taking my power away from me, but now, you know, and back then I also had self-confidence issues. So they were not only taking their power, but they were also taking away my confidence and my ability to who I was as a person and why I felt so small, because I didn't believe anything more. Because when you're told you're not worthless, but you can't amount to anything, or if you're told, you know, and I'm not even saying it has to be in those exact words. I'm just using these type of terms.
Yeah, it's like you're the emotional punching bag.
Exactly, right? You become that, and this is where like you build up to the point that what I was doing, and I was totally not even unaware, I was disassociating my emotions.
Right. And dissociation is so common for women. It's something that we naturally do because it's how we protect ourselves. Instead of fighting back, it's like you literally feel sort of like your soul is leaving your body in some kind of ways so that you can take it. So that if somebody's giving you those emotional punches, it's like you're not feeling it. You're just taking the punch and you're just letting it be. And for my life as a therapist, one of the things we used to work with people on is differentiation. So it's like, instead of feeling like you're the emotional punching bag and like people are hurting you, it's like you kind of separate the emotion out of it, like you were talking before, where it's like, no, that's their problem. That has nothing to do with me. So you're not making excuses for their shitty behavior. You're just separating yourself from it and going, I'm not letting their shit behavior impact me. I'm not taking ownership of it. It's not mine. And that makes all the difference. And for women, that can be hard to do because of how easy it is for us to dissociate. It's like we just leave those lower chakras and boop, we're up, we're out, and getting back into our bodies is really hard. That's where we see a lot of issues around like womb work stuff, where it's like inorgasmic, infertility, cysts, any issues with your embryos, like just everything lower body, or even just feeling like you can't get grounded, which is an issue for anybody with anxiety. It's like you can't get your feet back onto the floor. And it feels like you've really shifted on this front, like hugely. You don't stand for that anymore.
Tremendously. And, you know, I think too, again, with the spirituality piece and also being back in school and doing research. So in my undergrad, I did research on mental health and how it impacts children. And then now taking the spiritual side. So what I did in my master's, a teaching program, was now incorporate the spirituality and how it can help support mental health in the classroom. And back to what you were saying about how numbers are drastically increasing. And right now we're at 1 to 5 children. At least this is what we know of. But again, like you and I were talking about, everybody has some kind of form of special mental health issues. It's just, they're not apparent. And so many people are still living in a stereotypical mindset that it's you're weak if you show mental health. You're not good enough. You can't show weakness. You got to stay strong, and that's what they essentially do. And they literally will hide behind this wall, but really it's just causing more harm to them, whether they're taking it out through not internalized, but to you know what I'm trying to say, like
it's like their emotions are kind of getting in the way. Like I'm repressing it inside my head, and then my emotions are getting the better of me. So maybe I'm crying.
So it's either you take it out, you take it out on the world, and this is where we see a lot of people who always fight, who are always angry or enraged, or we internalize. And Danielle, you're a perfect example of what internalization does to your body.
That's how I got cancer. I truly believe that.
It is. I believe it too. And it's too bad, but it's internal and external. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, I got it. And in some ways, like externalizing it can be good in the moment, like a short-term fix, but it's not a long-term fix. It's just something temporary. And internal is never good because you're just going to beat yourself up. And then you become the person who's like beating yourself up over and over and over again. And really, if everybody did shadow work, if everybody just said like, this is not normal, I don't want to be this way, let me spend a certain amount of time meditating and getting to the root and figuring out what's going on, we would all be so different. Like, I know for me personally, I'm someone who actually feels like I don't have a lot of mental health issues anymore. Like there's bad days, but they are few and far between. And generally I sleep great and I feel good and I'm calm and relaxed. And if I want to do something, I do it without having to worry about it. And I try to teach my kids the same things. And that's the way that we should be. And I think shadow work for me has been that vehicle that's gotten me there, which is why it's something I'm so passionate about, because it is a way through. And if everybody did it, we'd all find our way through. So that's the goal for me. I'm just going to keep spreading this around until everybody's doing their shadow work.
I totally can second that with you. I think it's almost like you take us into this unconscious state and then you help us heal it. So not only are we seeing it, like you're actually getting down to the root of it and we're actually beginning to heal, which not, and this isn't to belittle because there's other therapies out there. I get that. And, but with those therapies, what I find a lot of them don't get down to the root cause. So they're teaching you skills on how to cope with these. But at the end of the day, it's like wearing a mask, right? Like it's all surface level. It's all surface level stuff. If you really want to change, if you really want to transform, if you really want to get to those deep rooted behaviors to really be able to transform, shadow work is what, like no question of a doubt. Like this is it.
I totally agree. The way I used to think about it in my head before I switched out of being a therapist, but I had started doing shadow work, is therapy for me was almost like if you have like, let's say like a bunch of weeds in your garden and it's like you're mowing over them. Whereas shadow work is like, no, I'm going to pull this out at the root. And you're seeing those like long dangly roots that come up and snake through the grass and you're like pulling them all out. That's shadow work to me. And then it's not just pulling them out and leaving a hole there. It's like, no, like let's give that a little bit of TLC. Let's plant some flowers there and make it feel good again. So it's not like we just rip this out and see you later, because that doesn't feel good either.
No, definitely not. So yeah, totally.
It makes such a difference,
It does. And, just to those people that fear it, I know timing is everything, but they're really, 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 I couldn't express more. There's really nothing to fear. Like there really isn't. If you have that commitment to yourself that you want to become a better person, okay, you might hit some raw core moments in life where you really need to face it to be able to heal it, to get through it. But like it's nothing compared to the end result. It's just beautiful.
I totally agree. Well, tell everybody about you and like the business that you have now and the work that you're doing. So I'd love to share that with everybody that's watching.
Okay. So I'm expanding, I'm growing as I'm growing in this whole transformation of, you know, taking the Create Your Light, Radiate Your Light. Now doing this Shadow Cert course, which I'm so excited about. So first and foremost, I am doing some spiritual consultation, whether you're new in your awakening or, you know, you're feeling stuck, you're not too sure where to go to next. I'm always here just to offer that intuitive consult side of things for people, as well as I'm doing some tarot picks through email, 1 card or 3 card picks. And I'm in the process of, and I should probably in the next few weeks be offering Akashic Records. So that will be something to add to my list. And then it's growing. Like next thing will be shadow work. And I'm looking forward to being able to create that and some kind of program around that. So I'm just really looking forward to, I feel like this next year, you know, I just feel so strongly that things are just going to keep going up and up.
I mean, we've seen it, right? Like people might not know this, but with shadow work, it's not always looking into the past. Similar to Akashic Records, you can also look forwards, and nothing in the future is set in stone. It's like there's a bunch of different paths, take them or leave them. And the choices that you make will either align you with one path or shift you to a new one. And one of the things that we've seen for you is that the path that you're currently on is going to get you to this place where you own a retreat center, and people are going to come to this place. It's going to be like a spiritual mecca to do all these different things with leaders, with healers. And it's going to be so powerful and so beautiful. And the work that you're doing now is laying the foundation for that. So that when it comes, I'm getting goosebumps now. So that when it comes, it's just going to be like a nice, easy transition over into what that is going to be at its like fullest potential. So if anybody's interested in working with Angela, I will say that she is someone who is incredible to connect with, especially if, of course, especially for somebody who is like, I don't know what I'm doing. This is brand new to me. Anybody who considers themselves like a baby witch, like this is your girl, because Angela is someone who's walked that path before, and she understands the science, she understands the spirituality, and she can help just kind of move you forward in a way that's comforting.
I need to add something to that.
Yes, please.
Don't listen to society of what a witch is. It's not demonized. It is not bad. Trust me, I had a hard time at the beginning because I always wanted to call myself a healer because it was like, oh, I got to keep in the light. Like healer sounds so much better, but really witches are healers. Like in anything, you're always going to have, like, of course, you're going to have the dark magic witches. That's another group on its own.
In the same way that we have shitty doctors.
Exactly.
That doesn't make all doctors bad. Some of them are fantastic. A lot of them are fantastic.
Exactly. So the fear of the word witch, I just want to share with you all. It's not that terminology. Please do not think it's necessarily negative, because it's really not. The more you know about it.
Yeah, I need to make like a whole post on TikTok about this, because you know, I gave you the whole story behind the origin of the idea of like the green cackling, broken nose, black. No, I don't think you did. I haven't. Okay, I'm going on TikTok later and doing that, because that's a story I share and Create Your Light all the time. So I don't know how you missed it. I'm gonna go record a TikTok when we're done. So I'll look out for it. Yes, I will tag you in it. So now that that's all said and done, I'm gonna go record that TikTok. Tell everybody how they can find you on social media so that they can connect with you there.
Sure. So I'm on Instagram. My name will be awaken.with.ang, A-N-G. So they could find me there, or on TikTok, and it's all one word with no dot, awaken with Ange.
That makes it so simple. And if anybody has questions for you, can they put them here and then you'll come back and answer?
Yep, feel free.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much for coming on and doing Spotlight on the Shadow Seekers with me, Ange. I love you so much. And thank you for everybody that's watched. I will see you all tomorrow with another round of Spotlight on the Shadow Seekers at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.